Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have an amazing person to introduce to you, John Chappelear. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Linda. I'm really grateful for you to have me on the show. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And John is the author of The Daily Six. So we'll hear more about that in a little bit. Right now, we are going to talk about how forgiveness connects us. Well, there was a lot in your history for forgiving yourself and asking forgiveness from your family. And so recovering
big shot.
Big shot.
Recovering big shot. So yeah, I mean, it's forgiveness is giving up all hope of a better yesterday. It's just it's like, let that go because it's gone. Sort of like the deep thoughts they used to have on Saturday Night Live. If you drop your keys in lava, let them go because they're gone. So I can't, I've got a whole bag. The way I used to live was I had a big bag of resentment, judgment, and anger that I would stuff into a bag and throw over my shoulder and carry it home every night. And I was joyful to have it home. So then I would build more resentment and anger and judgment and stuff that in, and I would carry that back to work. And so I had to, I didn't even notice it because it was driving my behavior. It was driving my actions and everything else. Until I came to the realization through writing the book that there had to be a better way to live than carrying this giant bag of whatever you want to call it back and forth.
Right.
And the idea is, if we put this down, we will all of a sudden begin to notice a much more powerful and positive way to live. And that's what I talk about. It cleanses the heart. Forgiveness really sort of lets you let go of the baggage of the past and begin to move more into the future. People who are practicing mindfulness, which is very popular right now. But I mean, this is forgiveness. Forgiveness will bring you into a state of mindfulness. You let things go and just be present.
Yeah, you can be, because it's like cleaning out the closet or the room. Like once you do that, you actually want to spend some time there, right? Even a closet, it's so good in here.
That's right. It really is. I mean, it opens up your ability to see things. This is what I was talking about with bringing peace or creating vulnerability. I mean, you're living in a much more open place because you've cleaned out all the baggage. I mean, it's like a river. I mean, it needs to flow smoothly to be clear. And if you block it up on one side, it becomes sort of stagnant and old and it doesn't flow very well. So you have to open that up and allow that flow to continue through you. So you clean out the heart, become more peaceful. And as you become more peaceful, a lot of the hubris that sort of surrounds our ego allows us to be vulnerable, because I have found that when I'm vulnerable, people want to talk to me. When I'm vulnerable, people want to share with me. And the more that they share, the more I get to understand them. And if that's a personal relationship, that makes it stronger. And if that's an organizational relationship, it makes it stronger too.
Nice. Yeah. And vulnerability is such a big thing now. And that, when you do these things, again, like there we have it, right? Creates vulnerability.
Right.
And my husband, back to the heart thing, my husband, Vettrus-Nichols, who you know, he says, make decisions with your heart, use your soul, which is like your intuition, for counsel, and your brain for storage. And I say temporary storage. Get it out on paper, get it out of you, just like you're saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, the idea of, sometimes you have to journal this information, like you're talking about, get it out of you. You can talk it out, you can write it out. You can go to the gym and pound on a bag. It doesn't really matter, but the idea of, we're sort of drinking poison and trying to kill the other person. It's a very negative kind of way to live, to hold on to anger and resentment and judgment. And I remember being in a program once when I was leading about forgiveness and love. And one of the women in the group said, well, she used a number of expletives, but basically, I'm not gonna forgive this guy. I've been forgiving him over and over and over, and he's not changing his behavior. And I said to her, forgiveness has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, right?
Forgiveness is opening your heart and allowing you to live peacefully. If he wants to be this jerk, then you need to, that video that I have about 3 things, accept it, leave it, or change it.
Yes.
And if when you're peaceful and you're vulnerable and you're living, through a clean heart, then you can make a decision on whether it makes sense to stay. If
you can think straight.
If he's not going to change, then you probably need to make a change. But don't let his behavior eat you up.
Exactly. Yeah. People have their claws in other people, and when we go through the forgiveness and then, the release, right? Then, whew, right?
Yeah.
Then you're really free of that person and you can make choices for yourself. Until then, you're just a victim of them. Till you forgive them, you're still their victim. It's kind of crazy to think about. And the ego does not like that. Like forgiveness, the ego, like if you're like, oh, I can't forgive that person, you're walking your life in your ego, at least at that moment. So and
all the pain that that you feel like you're experiencing is really, to me, life is a series of choices. So you're choosing to carry this around because it's your choice not to. So, but the reality is, and this is why the book is written the way it's written, is that it's a daily decision. You have to make a decision because we have wonderful intentions.
We do.
we live with wonderful intentions that are hard to continue to pay attention to as the day goes along. We get too distracted.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of the bottom line of all of this is the peace. Man, the life you were leading, it was like wonderful highlight reel. It just wasn't real.
Yes, exactly.
And you didn't get all the juiciness out of that love. And then things turned around and you have that now, which is so exciting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's different when your kids, would really prefer not to be around you. I had a friend of mine who was a minister who married Susan and I. And I remember talking to Mark once because the girls were, what did I say before, 8 and 12, 8 and 10 when we got married. And I said, I don't know, they don't want to come over and visit. They don't hug me. They don't tell me they love me. He said, well, when was the last time you hugged them and you told them you loved them? It has to
blowing simplicity.
It's exactly right. It's just like, what, kind of thing. So it's one of those weird things. It's like I let go of the resentment of the fact they weren't behaving the way I expected them to.
Yeah.
And I got down on my knees and I hugged them both and I kissed them both and told them how important they were to me.
Yeah.
And, it was one of those crack the shell moments. I mean, the forgiveness allowed me to clean my heart, the honesty of vulnerability. And the 3 of us became much more engaged and connected than we ever were.
That's so nice.
And they began to visit more often when they were young. We had them, they would get frustrated wherever they were doing and they would call Susan, they would come and visit. Nice. And so, what was a distant relationship became much closer. And that's worked for me, whether it's the girls when they were little or the girls now. I mean, I have grandkids that are older than the girls were then.
Oh, wow.
And I got, I get texts from them. Hey, Pop, what do you think about this? Or they're asking my input.
Nice.
It's special, John. Living open is much more peaceful than living closed.
Yeah.
It just takes a little while to be willing to let go of that ego.
For sure. I love it. And you've packed it all into your book, The Daily 6, and people can connect with you through your website. So perfect. Well, thank you so much, John. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Linda. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.